baby, what's good, everybody? Welcome in to the Early Edge and our Week 4 Sunday complete breakdown of all the 1 o'clock games, all the 4 o'clock games, 9 early, 3 late. And I tell you what, we love this day, and we love that you take the time to join us on a very busy Sunday with so many different selections that you could choose from. So let's not waste any time. Let's bring in the stars of the show because we have a lot to get to. Look at who I have at my disposal. First and foremost, he's been here since day number 1. He is our OG from the NFL. He is the maestro. Larry Hartstein, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm just wondering why the Vikings cannot catch a simple touchdown pass, but we'll see how this plays out in London.
It's going to be a live sweat on the show, which, as many of you know, is where the maestro shines his best. Now, he is live from parts unknown, just fresh out of the lab. What does he have for us today? We will soon find out. Prop stars, good afternoon, sir.
Coach, what's good? Cousin Sia, Uncle Larry. Hope everyone's doing great. I'm excited. Great slate of football today. Let's get after it.
All right, let's get after it. A lot to get to as the Vikings continue to show why you can't bet on them. You can't. You just can't. All right, gentlemen, we have a ton of plays from our Tuesday mega preview, from our prop show on Friday. We will go through all of those. We'll have all of them on the recap screen from time to time over the course of the next hour. Also, we have a couple of fresh plays today as well. We'll be very clear on those. Now, for many of you who are new to this show, some of the numbers you see on the screen, you may not be able to get anymore, which is why you have to watch us live throughout the week. We tell you that all the time. So let's get into it, gentlemen. Browns and the Falcons. This is one that I'm very, very interested in. The Browns on the road, they've looked really good this year. Laying the 1, total at 47.5. As a brand, here's where we stand. RJ is on the Browns when it was 1.5. Uncle Dave, Marcus Mariota, longest pass completion under 36.5. And then we've got a couple of picks from two faces I see right now. So let's get it started. Alex, what do you have in this game?
Yeah, I'm going with my guy. I've been backing him all season long. It's been going really well. That's Kareem Hunt. I like him over 42.5 rushing yards, Coach. No team so far in the NFL has been weighted more towards the run than this Cleveland Browns team. Hunt has eclipsed this line in all 3 games this season. He's averaging 52 rushing yards per game to go along with 12 rushing attempts per game as well. Browns are first in EPA per rush, 9th in rush success percentage, 1st in run grade, and 5th in run block grade. So teams are also running a ton on the Falcons as well. They've also not been good defending the runs. This is a great matchup. They're 27th in rushing DVOA. I love Kareem Hunt. I think he's a lock to get 10+ touches as long as this game remains remotely competitive. Easy over 42.5 rushing yards today, Coach.
I absolutely love this play. And Larry, when you think about how the Falcons have played, they've been exciting. Their games have been fun. But when you look at it, as Alex said, they haven't been able to really stop anybody. What do you like?
Yeah, I love Alex's play as well. I also like Kareem Hunt to get a touchdown. You know, he has just as many red zone carries as Nick Chubb and 2 red zone targets. But I really like this game for Nick Chubb. And I love him. His longest rush over 18.5. He's done it 7 straight times, and the low rush was 22. So I just love it at this matchup. He's averaging 5.5 yards per carry against a tougher schedule of defenses than he's going to face today.
All right, I like it a lot. See it. When you look at this Browns team and what they have done so far, and the game script, I think, plays in to how Maestro and Alex sees it. Do you have confidence in this Browns team?
Oh, big time. Actually, this is a really sneaky DFS play, too, this game. It's got a 47.5 point total. And I think, really, the Browns offense goes through Nick Chubb and it goes through Kareem Hunt. So I actually like the Kareem Hunt play. I think Nick Chubb is going to have a great game too. When we did the prop show on Friday, Nick Chubb's rushing yards prop was 89.5. It's all the way up to 92.5. This offensive line is going to own Atlanta. I think Atlanta is going to be able to push back. That's why you see Cleveland only being favored by a point. It's basically a pick 'em at this point. But I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to dominate the day.
Yeah, I agree with you a lot. I love the Browns. They're one of my best bets today personally. And I just think the way they play and how strong they play, and I just think they have a good mojo going right now. And I don't even think they're even thinking about Deshaun Watson at this point. Jacoby Brissett has been pretty good. He's been pretty good. All right, that's game number 1. We've got 8 more 1 o'clock games to get to. Game number 2. And Alex in the chat, Scott said, Coach, did Prop Stars make sure you came to him out of the gate after the Friday stream? Interesting question. For those of you who didn't watch Friday, we had a little issue. me and Alex, because he didn't get to talk enough on his own show. Dealing with, those pesky egos that always seem to rear their ugly head. All right, now this next game could be the game of the day. Weather could be an issue as well. Bills. Now, in the chat, because they always take care of us, the Bills just moved in some books to 3.5. That's good for us as a show. We played the Ravens earlier today, RJ, on the morning show. Now, still at 3.5 some places. The total sitting at 50. Sia, I know you have a play in this game. Talk to me.
Yeah, so my play here is Rashad Bateman over 47.5 receiving yards. Now, I will caution anybody who's playing props on the East Coast, just keep rain in mind. I mean, this Eagles game is going to have a lot of rain involved and some wind. This Ravens game, rain and wind as well, and some of these other games, including the New York Giants. So that's out there, and that might be why Rashad Bateman's prop right now, I think it's down to 46.5 receiving yards in some places. I still like it at 47.5 receiving yards. I still think Mark Andrews is going to get a lot of attention. Bateman, his snap share hasn't been what we want it to be, but he's clearly the number one wide receiver on this team. I think he can get this over in 1 or 2 catches. And frankly, Lamar missed him on a couple deep balls last week. I expect them to connect on at least one of those. And I expect him, in spite of the weather, to get over 47.5 receiving yards.
Which is why sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, we go with the yard and not the catches, because when a guy has the talent, like what Sia said, Bateman does, to go deep, take the top off, that's why you take one and not the other. Sia, thank you very much. Now, Alex, I know you've got opinions on this game from your perspective. What are they?
Coach, I have opinions on every game, but yeah, I just want to back up my cousin Sia here. I love Rashad Bateman over 47.5 yards. If you can get it at 46.5 yards, go for it. Yeah, I've just been so bullish on this guy all year long. As long as the books are going to hang sub 50-yard receiving lines for him, he is an automatic play for me. Obviously, weather could be a factor. That is the one caveat here. But listen, Bateman wasn't targeted last week until the second half. It appeared if he was on his way to have a super quiet day, and then he just showed how he's able to make the most of his touches. 2 receptions, all of them went over 24 yards. He's been able to eclipse this line in every single game this year, despite not receiving more than 7 targets. That tells me there is just a ton of untapped upside with Rashad Bateman. It's only a matter of time until his target share and his snap count increases. I sound like a broken record, but to me, these performances are so much closer to his floor than his ceiling as well. Plus, we're playing a Bills team where it's going to be up-tempo, potentially a lot of points, depleted secondary, could provide the type of game environment to produce a potential spike week for Bateman. It has a high projected total, which is certainly encouraging as well. Bateman, I want to just mention this again, 3.05 yards per route run among players with a 70% route participation. That only trails Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill this season. He also had a season-high 79% route rate in week 3. So he's going to get more playing time. It's happening. It's unfolding as we watch, and he is just electric. He's also the fastest player with the football in his hands clocked this season. I love Rashad Bateman.
For those of you who are brand new to the brand, if Alex gets super excited like that, he loves the play. That's how you know. Little secret. Now, Maestro, let me come to you, because in the chat, they're asking about Josh Allen and his rush attempts over 7.5. We know that AB is on Josh Allen to throw at least 1 interception today. Do you think, because Allen had a really good rushing game last time out or 2 games ago, do you think today we'll see him run a lot?
I do, because of the weather, I do think there will be more running than we would normally expect from the Bills. I mean, I would lean over, but no strong play there for me. But I do want to say, though, getting 3.5 is attractive with a home dog like Harbaugh and the MVP favorite. And the Bills were on the field for 92 offensive plays. Everyone was talking about how tired the defense of the Dolphins should be going into Cincinnati, but that takes something out of an offense, too.
There's no question. And you guys were spot on about pointing that out, because the Dolphins were tired. You could tell. And by the end of the game, they couldn't stop anybody. All right, that's game number 2 at 1 o'clock. Game number 3. And this is my big bet of the day. It's my homage to the other shows that love to do their 5% bombs of the week. Not here. Commanders at the Cowboys. I cannot believe, gentlemen, that what happened, Maestro? What happened?
Yeah, the chat is telling me the Vikings missed the PAT.
So they're only up by 3?
Correct, which means obviously that the Saints do not need to get a touchdown, so they can just get into field goal range. But they actually marched through them like Swiss cheese last time. So I don't know. This game is frustrating me.
The Vikings are frustrating me this year. Kirk Cousins is showing why everybody says he made more money than anybody. I mean, this is just crazy. But there's nothing like a live Maestro sweat. Ever. All right, total 41. Now, for those of you who don't know, look at Sia's background. Full disclosure, he is not a Cowboys fan. Mikey's on the Cowboys minus the 3. Uncle Dave is on Carson Wentz over 35.5 pass attempts. He believes they'll be playing from behind. He's also on J.D. McKissick over 3.5 receptions. And then Sia, we come to you. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, I like a lot of Cowboys in this game. I think you could go CeeDee Lamb. I think you could go Ezekiel Elliott. But what I'm choosing to go with is the most explosive player on the Cowboys, and that's Tony Pollard. I'm going to take his over rushing and receiving prop at 60.5 yards. He hit, 105 in week 3, 98 in week 2. He didn't get any catches last week. They did have some designs for him. It just didn't work out. I think the reason I combine the rushing and receiving, I do think he's probably good for 2 or 3 catches in this game, and we know what he can do with the ball in his hands, particularly against this Washington defense, who is leading the league in explosive plays allowed against them. We saw a lot of that in the Philly game last week. That's why I was on Philly minus 6.5. That's why I was on Devontae Smith. It's kind of like pick your Cowboy in this game. I think all of them can go off, but I do think with respect to CeeDee Lamb and some of these other guys, it is up to Washington to push back a little bit. They didn't last week. I don't think that matters with Tony Pollard. I think he's going to be in this game with the same touch distribution that he gets in any game, regardless of the score in this one. So give me Pollard over 60.5 rushing and receiving. I really think he can get this on 2 to 3 potential plays because of his explosiveness and because he's playing the Washington Commanders.
Does it hurt your heart to say that?
It does. It does a lot. Yeah,
I bet it does. I feel for you. Not that much, but I feel for you. All right, Maestro. Maestro, you're on a side here. And sometimes when everybody believes a game is going to go one way, what happens to us? What happens to us? Well, the Vikings happen to us. That's what happens. But not in this game. Explain.
Well, the Vikings ending, I mean, if we end on 3, that's going to be beautiful because I laid 2.5 and RJ took 3.5 with the Saints, but we'll see what happens. I just think the Washington O-line is going to have their hands full. Their center, Schweitzer, is out with a concussion. They're down to the 3rd or 4th string center, Nick Martin, who's the brother of Zach Martin on the Cowboys. They gave up 9 sacks last week to the Eagles, and now Micah Parsons and that crowd at home. So I think the Cowboys will dominate up front with DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. And, I laid the 3.
All right. Well, I actually played them on the money line as well. I laid the 3, and I played them on the money line. Alex, talk to me.
Yeah, real quick, just wanted to point out that Cooper Rush will have a full complement of weapons today. Michael Gallup will be making his season debut at wide receiver. Also, Dalton Schultz will be returning to the Cowboys lineup. He missed the last week and a half, I believe. So Cooper Rush will have some additional weapons at his disposal for this Cowboys offense, where he has looked very good commanding it.
Real-time updates, that's what the crew's all about. If you have any questions in the chat, unfortunately, AB had to produce today, so he's not in the chat. We'll get to as many as we possibly can and try to keep the questions to the game that we're talking about. It's okay if you don't, but just try to do that. All right, now, game number 4. Seahawks and the Lions. Detroit doing Detroit things again. Playing really good games, guys, but coming up short. Last week, a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter. They blow it to Minnesota. Now, the Seahawks, they've been what we thought they would be under Geno Smith. Not very good. Detroit, minus 3.5. Total, 47.5. Uncle Dave is on Geno Smith under 22.5 completions. And then Sia and Maestro, you're on the same player. So, Maestro, let me start with you.
Yeah, I like Rashad Penny over 59.5, averaged 4.7 last week. The Lions giving up 5 yards a carry, and they lost their safety, Tracy Walker. Dalvin Cook averaged 5.6 yards a carry. So I like Rashad Penny, and I also like the Seahawks in the game taking the points just because no Chark, no Amon-Ra St. Brown, no DeAndre Swift, and Josh Reynolds questionable. I didn't see his status going into this one, but those are their top 3 playmakers.
All right. Sia, back that pick up, please.
Yeah, I mean, without their top three playmakers, you know that Detroit's probably not going to run away with this game, which firmly entrenches Rashad Penny in quarters 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's an additional reason why I love this over 59.5 rushing yards. Just like Maestro said, he's averaging over 5 yards per carry. Or I should say Detroit's allowing over 5 yards per carry. This is a team that scores 31 points a game, but gives up almost 32 a game. That's why their record isn't undefeated. That's why they have more losses than wins. There's no reason to go to the Geno Smith, let's air it out sort of game plan like they did last week when they were trailing Atlanta. This is a game plan where it's just firmly in Pete Carroll's hands. Let's run the ball against a Detroit defense that's allowing a lot through the run. Rashad Penny, he's gotten, I think, 70% of the snaps last week. I expect him to get 70% of the snaps and 70% of the carries this week as well.
All right, very, very good. I like that a lot, especially when two of my guys are on it. Alex, last week, and we got a question this morning. We gave people out a bonus pick that cashed easy. Goff, more passing yards than Aaron Rodgers. Now, you know when it hits once, people are going to ask for it again. Did you see anything this week? And sometimes the answer no is okay. Did you see anything like that this week when you were doing your research?
I haven't had a chance actually to check quarterback matchups, unfortunately. So I apologize. I'll definitely have some for our viewers next week.
Oh, I finally found something Alex did not do. It took me years, but I finally found it. All right. Sometimes you don't have to force a pick. We tell you that all the time, too. All right, moving on. Game number 5. And this one's very, very, very interesting because the LA Chargers, I saw a report this morning. Again, I was doing a lot of work this morning. But Bosa, what's he going to be out, Maestro? 8 weeks, I saw today?
Yeah, most of the season.
Mm-hmm. Most of the season. That is a big, big, big time hit to that Chargers defense. And you don't know how healthy Herbert is either at quarterback after gutting it through last week's debilitating loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they're still laying 6 on the road. I just don't get it. Texans are at home, getting 6, total 45. Proppy, I know you love a player from LA. You've been talking about him all week. Who am I talking about?
I'm talking about Austin Eckler. I love Austin Eckler this week. Listen, last year, Austin Eckler tied with Jonathan Taylor for 20 touchdowns. That led the NFL. 12 on the ground, 8 through the air. So far through 3 games this season, 0. He went only 3 games all of last year combined without scoring a touchdown. If anyone is due to score a touchdown, it's this guy. Couldn't ask for a better matchup against this Texans team. They've been pretty decent, actually, against the pass. They've been much more susceptible on the ground. They're 30th in rushing DVOA. Brandon Staley also went on record saying he needs to get Eckler more involved. Only had 4 rushing attempts last week versus the Jags. If there was ever a get-right spot, in my opinion, it is this week. I think they're going to lean heavily on their best player. No Keenan Allen in the lineup as well. I actually like him to score 2 touchdowns, which I bet as well. You can get that at plus 500. I even sprinkled a little bit on 3 touchdowns at plus 2,200 as well. Looking at some running back performances versus this Texan team from this season, Jonathan Taylor, 13 carries, 161 yards, 1 touchdown in week 1. Javonte Williams went 15 for 75 week 2. Khalil Herbert last week went 20 for 157 and 2 touchdowns. I also like his rushing line, which we're going to get to next because I want to ask Larry a question as soon as he gives his play out.
Oh. I'm very interested to see how the next couple of minutes, and apparently Sia is too, is going to go here on the show. So, Maestro, let me step back. This will be interesting too because he's sweating the Vikings game, and then he's going to be called out in a second by Alex. So, sweet spot. Larry, go.
All right, well, the Texans, I like them plus the points. I mean, we talk about no Bosa. There's also no Rashawn Slater. He's their starting left tackle. They have a 6th-round rookie from Georgia who's going to start. The Texans have played 3 tight games. Davis Mills is a totally different quarterback at home. You can look at those home road splits. He's much better. I think they keep it close. And then the prop, which, you know, I did not see that quote. I'm going to be 100% honest. I did not see the quote from Staley. It may have swayed me off of the Eckler under rushing yards because when I gave it out, it was 54.5. Now it's up to about 57.5. That said, I still think there's a very good chance it could cash because the Chargers can't run the ball. He's averaging 2.5 yards a carry. There's also Sony Michel, Joshua Kelly, who could get some touches. I think Eckler will have a good game, a better game. He'll probably score, but I would still lean under on the rushing total, especially as it keeps going up.
Alex, what was that question you wanted to ask Maestro?
Maestro, it would be an honor to have a showdown against you. with Austin Eckler rushing yards. Not an official play for me, but I like the other side that much. So if you're willing to, Larry, I would love to.
Right now I'm in shock because somebody hit a 60-yard field goal.
What?
So I will need to but you know what? I'm also going to decline that because I already have a showdown with one of our loyal fans, Joe. I'm not buying out of that, Joe. We're going to see what happens, but I'm not doing a double showdown on a play that's moved against me.
So apparently Larry doesn't want all the smoke, Coach.
Apparently he doesn't.
Do you want to lay the points with the Chargers? I'll take the Texans +6 for a showdown.
That's your wheelhouse, not mine.
I'm trying to figure out, though, Larry, why the number moving to 57 is moving against you.
Well, because this quote came out from Staley.
Because Poppy likes it.
And Poppy likes it.
That's exactly what it is. It's not moving against you. It's moving against Poppy. Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. I got to put a pin in that. May come back to that a little bit later on. All right. I love the Texans today, too. All right. That was fun. That was fun. All right. Now, this next game is kind of a who are you really type of game. Titans, they looked pretty good last week, but their opponent was not that good. Then you got the Colts, who beat my beloved Chiefs. And for a lot of people out there who dumbly, if that's a word, played the Chiefs in a survivor pool, rule number one in a survivor pool, ladies and gentlemen, you never play an away team, a road team, until you have to. That's rule number one. So don't come complaining to me that you lost on the Chiefs. You shouldn't have played them. Now, the Colts somehow are laying 3.5, total 43. AB has said every day this week, Ryan Tannehill is going to throw an interception. Ryan Tannehill is going to throw an interception. Alex, what do you think is going to happen in this game?
I think this is a really interesting game for a wide array of reasons. I know we're early in the season. We're not even a quarter of the way through. However, I think this game is ultimately going to determine what team potentially makes the playoffs out of this division. I think whoever loses this game is potentially buried and potentially eliminated from the playoffs. I think it's fair to speculate that only one team from this division is going to make the playoffs. I actually think it's Jacksonville, but I think the loser of this game will be pretty much eliminated from their chances of winning the division. So there's Goose going crazy. He heard my show, declined my showdown. He's all worked up. He was hoping he'd be able to dance to the music. We're pivoting back to this game, though. So, yeah, I can't wait to see this game. It should be really interesting. I can't wait to see Derrick Henry versus this Colts rush defense, which has been very, very good this season. All the metrics love this defense. I think we're gonna find out where Derrick Henry's out. Had a bit of a bounce back game versus Las Vegas last week, but that's not a great rush defense. So we're going to find out pretty quickly which one of these teams I think is going to be competitive for the remainder of the year. So I'm interested to watch this divisional showdown.
And see, that's exactly what I was going to ask you about is Derrick Henry. He has not exactly gotten out of the blocks quickly. And his number, which last year, you never would have seen this number, 72.5 minus 121 is the current number. Does he break out today?
Yeah, it's not an official play for me, but I would take the over there. Unfortunately for the Titans, they're beset by a poor receiving core and really kind of injuries on the offensive line. But I think the Colts are kind of overrated in almost every possible way at quarterback, on defense, offensive line, other than maybe their running back, Jonathan Taylor. So I actually like the over for Derrick Henry there. I think that is going to be the game plan to open up play action, to open up some of these slants to guys like Treylon Burks and Robert Woods. So I like the over there for Derrick.
All right, very, very good.
I want to jump in. I want to jump in on this one because the Colts by DVO have the best run defense. Shaq Leonard is coming back for that defense. I think it's going to be a terrible day for Derrick Henry, and I love that play that AB has with a Tannehill pick because I don't think they will run the ball.
I agree with you. Now, listening to the chat and then looking at the game, because as you guys know, construction in my house, I don't have a TV in front of me, but apparently Justin Jefferson just made a long play down to the New Orleans 29. Now the question is, are they just going to run it and try to kick, or are they going to try and score a touchdown? It looks like they're going to run and try and kick. So we'll keep an eye on that. We've been on the Vikings -3. So right now as a brand, we are pushing. What happened now, Maestro?
No, I mean, the guy misses an extra point. I think you need to stay aggressive and not settle for a 48 to 50-yard field goal here.
Agreed. And also think about us that have the Vikings maybe live at 5.5. I don't know. So anyway, maybe somebody was dumb enough to make that play this morning. All right, moving on, gentlemen. We have 3 more 1 o'clock games. And this one, If it wasn't for Alex, I don't know if the tree would have fallen in the forest. Bears at the Giants, -3, total 38.5. Alex, what do you like in this one?
There's one guy that I like in this one. His name is Saquon Barkley. I love me some Saquon Barkley. In my opinion, he's on a very short list of best offensive players in the NFL. So far in this season, he's been absolutely phenomenal. He's a huge reason why the Giants are 2-1. He has been their entire offense. He's averaging 105 rushing yards per game. He's had at least a 16-yard gain in all 3 of his appearances. That's why I like him over 16.5 yards for his longest rush. This isn't a prop that I think we need to overthink. In my opinion, he's going to continue to see between 18 and 22 rushing attempts per game. The more opportunities you give him, the more chances he has to make a big play. This is also the softest defense that he has faced this season. The Bears are 22nd in rushing DVOA. That is lower than any other team that he has faced so far. Giants are also favorites. I think we're going to see a ton of rushing volume from them as well. We know how thin this wide receiver group is for the Giants. That was even before they lost Sterling Shepard to a season-ending injury. It is basically Richie James and no one else. We're going to see a huge Saquon show. Bears are 21st in EPA per rush, 29th in rush success rate, 24th in run defense grade. Great matchup. A ton of Saquon. He's going to have at least one 17-yard gain or more.
I'm sorry, Alex. There's nothing I enjoy more than watching Larry sweat a game. It's just watching you talk and watching Larry lose his mind is just heaven for me. Yes.
And coach, if Saquon has said 17-yard rush, you hop on my Twitter. I have a tweet that I've made recently. You like and retweet it, and he goes over 17 yards. You have a great chance to win $100 from me directly to you.
Wow. No strings attached? Straight Venmo? Straight Venmo.
Straight Venmo.
Wow.
Just like and retweet.
Just like and retweet. Go there right now at PropStars on the Twitter. See you. Let me come to you. Because last week we talked about it, you and I, on one of these shows about Daniel Jones, and you said, well, that number seems kind of high at 27. Mm-hmm. Well, he went into the 70s. What do we think about Daniel Jones on the ground this week? And his number, I can tell you his number is 31.5.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a little inflated because of what we saw last week. It's a stay away for me. I just don't know that his hand is going to be forced to run like it was last week. I think they're going to be able to establish a lot through the short area passing game and through Saquon Barkley. So I just don't see him running a ton. I mean, it's a stay away. I think my lean, though, would be the under for me again.
Okay. All right. Very good. I may or may not have just bet the over because I thought you were going to say over.
Well, I got it wrong last time on Daniel Jones, so hopefully I get it wrong this time as well.
All right, very good. Oh, Joshua says, hang in there, Larry Legend. As the Vikings hit the field goal, you get that patented, not the right hand. It's the left hand with Larry. I know my guy.
Not over. A lot of time left in this one.
There's 29 seconds left.
24.
That's not a lot of time. But with the Vikings, they have figured out a way in the past to lose with 7 seconds or win with 7 seconds, as we know. All right, this next game, gentlemen, I want everybody talking on, okay? This is a big one because are the Jags for real? That's the question. They go on the road and they blow out the Chargers, but then, Herbert's hurt, or they didn't have Keenan Allen, or all the excuses. No excuses this week. We're traveling to Philadelphia, take on the Eagles, which, Maestro, what was that nugget you said this morning in your storyline about the Eagles making NFL history?
Yeah, 24 points in the first half of their first 3 games. They are just destroying teams in the first half. Then they kind of take the foot off the gas, and they've been very pedestrian in the second half. I was ready to lay the points here, but the weather is so bad. Even though I do think the Eagles will run the ball, I feel it's going to be lower scoring, and the points get more valuable in a lower scoring game.
There's no question about that. So as a brand, RJ gave this out, Eagles -6.5. M Squared has them in a teaser, which is probably gone by now. Philadelphia -0.5, Arizona plus the 8. And Uncle Dave's on Devontae Smith over 4.5 catches, which I really, really like. And AB is on Trevor Lawrence to throw at least 1 interception. So, Alex, let me come to you. In this game, and I know weather's obviously an issue, it sucks, but there's a lot of players that could show up today. What do you make of this matchup?
Yeah, this is a matchup I'm incredibly excited for, Coach. A couple things I wanted to touch on. One aspect of this game that I don't think is getting nearly enough attention heard a lot about this Eagles offense. We know how explosive they are, how dynamic they are. The Eagles defense has started to really come on, looked phenomenal the last 2 weeks as well. And we've seen this Jags offense, but what we haven't heard much about is this Jags defense, which has quietly been very, very good. So I'm excited to see this very young Jags defense that they've really drafted well, gotten a lot of impact players. If you look at pretty much across the entire defense, it's all guys that they've drafted, and they've really started coming on. So I am really excited to see this defense that is very young, very excited, continue to develop how they play against this Eagles offense. So the Eagles are very interesting because they possess so much talent offensively, in my opinion, where they can go run heavy. They can be an explosive passing offense because of Jalen Hurts, because of his ability as a dual threat quarterback, because of all the weapons they have, because of this phenomenal offensive line. I do think, obviously, as aforementioned, weather will be a big factor. So we're going to see the Eagles kind of pivot to a more run-heavy game plan if the weather ultimately is as big as a factor as a lot of people think it will be. But yeah, I think this is an awesome matchup. I think people are sleeping on this Jags team. However, I know they're young. I know they're unproven, but we're talking about a ton of talent on both sides of the football, and I think that they can be a pretty live opponent against this Eagles team.
See ya. Well, 1 second. Larry, what's going on, big dog?
They're about to hit another 60-yard field goal to send the game to overtime. That's what's happening. The Vikings had 4 guys deep and let Olave catch like a 30-plus yarder.
Of course, Olave is playing against me via Cousin Sia's fantasy team. Just throwing that out there.
Look at our producer. This is so frustrating. Damn it! I love this show.
Oh my God, they're still attacking though. I got to admire that, but they don't have a timeout.
How good is Olave though?
A lot. Well, you knew when he was at Ohio State that he was going to be an absolute no-brainer. Joe says, Coach, can I bid on watching a game with Larry in person next year? That might be something that we throw into our St. Jude draft-a-thon, because I can tell you from personal experience, it's the best. It's the best watching a game with the maestro. All right, we've got to continue, though, because the 1 o'clock games are not going to wait for us to sweat this game. No, so see it. Let me come back to you. Do you agree with Alex on this game and how it could potentially play out?
Not really. I'm on the Philly side of this, even at 6.5. Listen, I know this is a low total, and I know the Jaguars are emerging, but I just question how good this team is. We have such a small sample size. And oh, by the way, the Jaguars had to travel to LA, then travel back to Jacksonville, then worry about a hurricane and travel up to Philadelphia. I think it's a really bad spot for them. I actually think rain is usually an equalizer to some degree, but not in this case when you don't really have a running quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. Can he run? Yes. But really on the Jalen Hurts side, I think it's going to be really tough to defend with Jalen Hurts in the rain, in the elements, with the read option, with A.J. Brown running these quick slants and Miles Sanders. I think it's a lot to take on. It's a bad spot for the Jags. Give me the Eagles.
I have a tendency to agree with you as well. See, I think all of that, and this is the one thing I've learned from you guys, is that
here comes the kick.
I don't want to see it in the chat. I don't want to see it.
All right. So don't look at the chat. Don't look at the chat. This is why these London games.
If it's good, you should do the showdown with me, Larry. I'm just
It went off the upright and then off the crossbar, and it missed.
Let's go.
It went off both the upright and the crossbar. And
yes.
Nope.
I was gonna lose no matter what, so I'm happy. I'm happy that. No, I could have won in overtime. What am I thinking? Damn it! No, a thrilled maestro is the best version of the maestro. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations to all of you who bought the half a point down to 2.5, or played the Saints and bought the half a point up to 3.5. You both won, and we love that. We absolutely love that. See you. Go.
Or you could have gotten the 2.5 early in the week, like I did. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. Sorry.
Don't apologize for being a savage. Never apologize for being a savage. All right, the last 1 o'clock game on the slate, and that is the almighty Zach Wilson-led. That's right, he's back today. Jets on the road in the Steel City, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers laying 3, total 41.5. Proppy, there is a player, despite the fact that the narrative is the Pittsburgh offense is horrible, but there's one guy who's been a bright, shining star. Who is it?
Coach, that's Deontay Johnson. If he had better quarterback play, we'd be looking at this guy who's one of the truly elite wide receivers in the NFL. In my opinion, I love him over 5.5 receptions today. The Jets are they've been a pass funnel so far this season. They are dead last in passing DVOA. So it's easy to expect that Pittsburgh might actually choose to be more weighted towards the pass, especially considering how inefficient Najee Harris and Pittsburgh's running game has been. The Jets are actually okay defending the rush as well. So far, all the Jets' opponents this year, the Ravens, Browns, Bengals, have all shifted to the pass against them very heavily as well. So I'm expecting Pittsburgh to do that. And also, I think this is probably the last chance Trubisky has to prove if he's going to continue getting starts. If he's not able to light up this Jets secondary, in my opinion, we could be seeing Kenny Pickett sooner than later. So I do think we're going to see Trubisky be a little bit more aggressive, air the ball out. As far as Deontay Johnson is concerned, he has been phenomenal this season. He's never had an ADOT coming into this year over 9.5. He's got an ADOT up to 11.5, which is impressive when Mitch Trubisky is your quarterback. He's earning targets at an elite 30% rate as well. Kind of the knock on Deontay Johnson was that he was sort of an underneath volume receiver. That is not the case so far this season. He has been phenomenal, 33% target share and a 40% air yard share this season. That is elite stuff right there. Also, he's eclipsed 6 catches in all 3 games this year so far this season, and that's with the Steelers not really throwing the ball much either. So that's certainly encouraging. He's eclipsed this in 6 games in a row, dating back to last season, coach, as well. He's only had less than 5 receptions one time in his previous 20 games played.
Say that one more time.
He's only had 5 or less receptions once in his last 20 games played.
That means, Maestro, that 95% of the time in the last 20 games, he's got at least to 5. We just need him to get to 6. I think he can do it. But what do you like in this game? Because from a side standpoint, it's hard to figure out either team right now.
Yeah, RJ likes the Steelers, and he likes them to, force Zach Wilson into mistakes, and that's probably going to be the case because he is very inexperienced and rusty and has not had a lot of practice time. That said, I could just not lay it with the Steelers team. Without TJ Watt, they're 0-6 straight up, and the pressure percentage, the pressure rate they get on quarterbacks drops from 31 all the way to 19%. So I think it'll probably be like a 20-17 type game.
I agree with you. So for me, it's a stay away. And maybe just I already did the Deontay Johnson because when Alex says to play something, damn it, you play it. All right. So those are the 9 o'clock or the 1 o'clock games. I hate when the NFL does this, but we got to take it what it is. There are 3 games at 4 o'clock. Now, 1 at 4:05, 2 at 4:25. Make sure you save a little bit because there's nothing worse than getting to 4 o'clock. All your money's wrapped up and you go, oh, there's a 4 or 5 game I forgot about. So, Cardinals and the Panthers, and maybe one you don't even want to bet on, though. -1 for Carolina. They're trying to figure things out. Total 43.5. RJ, earlier in the week, has them in a teaser. Cardinals plus the 8, Rams plus 8.5. Obviously, that would be now Cardinals plus 5 if you put them into a teaser, which wouldn't make a lot of sense. Mikey has a donkey teaser, which is a longer one as well. But, Maestro, let me come back to you because the Arizona Cardinals, despite one great quarter, have looked pedestrian at best and now have to go on the road.
Yeah, they do. But have the Panthers looked any better? I mean, it was a pretty fraudulent win over the Saints. Very fortunate. They got completely outgained. And I really like the fact that Marquise Brown is supposed to play. Rondale Moore is supposed to play. McCaffrey didn't practice all week. He'll probably play through the quad injury. The Cardinals have been amazing on the road. Against the spread, 9-1, I believe it is, in their last 10 on the road against the number. And, of course, their only win this year on the road, whereas they've lost both at home. The main thing, though, Vance Joseph loves to blitz. He's super blitz happy, and Baker Mayfield does not fare well against the blitz. He's been terrible this year. He's 32nd in PFF rankings for quarterbacks out of 33. And against the blitz, he's equally as bad.
Equally as bad. And Alex, when you look at this show or this game, I know you've got something. What is it?
Yeah, it's tough for me. I really believe just watching this Panthers offense with Baker at quarterback, it has just been really hard. I really thought that this would be an upgrade for them, considering we've seen Sam Darnold, PJ Walker play at quarterback, but this Panthers offense just looks horrible. I really feel that DJ Moore is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Certainly has been one of the most productive wide receivers since entering the league. He has 88 receiving yards through 3 games. That is terrible. And I would have told you before the season that Baker Mayfield was by far the best quarterback he's had over the course of DJ Moore's career. So to see him struggling like this is not good. He is a consummate professional, however. He has a tough matchup. Even though the Cardinals have allowed a lot of passing yards, they have a very good cornerback in Byron Murphy Jr., who is likely to shadow DJ Moore today in coverage, but I do think there could be some squeaky wheel. So his receiving yards is under 50 yards. You have to go back to his rookie year, the last time to find his receiving line that low. But yeah, something I'm going to be paying very close attention to is DJ Moore today.
Wow. All right. Very, very interesting. I'm glad somebody's going to be paying attention to it. All right, 2 more games to get to. Then we got to get the hell out of Dodge and get ready for those 1 o'clock games. See, I'm coming to you because the Patriots, the fighting Brian Hoyers, Mac Jones is out. Brian Hoyer, what's it, 11 straight losses that he's had? Is that right, Sia? 11 straight?
I thought it was 9, but maybe it's 11. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not either because he stinks. And so I didn't have to look up the number. I know the Packers had a big grinded-out win last week, but they're laying a big number today, but they're at home, 9.5, and the total's 40. Those 2 things don't match up. What do you think about this one today?
Yeah, it's going to be a stay away for me because this line is so high, this minus 9.5, and the total is so low. But I mean, I do think the Packers can paper cut you to death with AJ Dillon, with both of their running backs, obviously. But I think this is going to be a game where the Packers sort of methodically just eat away at you with Aaron Jones, with AJ Dillon, with some short area passing, maybe to Romeo Doubs, maybe to Robert Tonyan, some guys I actually like in this game. I don't really see the Patriots establishing much. Obviously, they're going to have to do it through the running game. And I think over 4 quarters, they just don't have enough with Brian Hoyer at the helm. Nobody's going to be afraid of the pass, and therefore they're going to stack the box against Ramondre Stevenson, against Damien Harris. I actually looked at a Ramondre Stevenson total yardage prop. I just couldn't get there with him because I'm not sure how this game is going to go. But that was the closest I came to actually betting on this game.
I absolutely hate, Maestro, games that I can't figure out what's going to happen. And you also have a backup quarterback to try to figure that out with. With that being said, in the chat, my man Endless Eliante, interesting play here, plus 110. It's kind of like a halftime, full-time bet in soccer. The Packers to win both halves. Interesting. Your thoughts, Maestro?
Yeah, I like that. I think the Packers win. I wanted to check the number. Somebody said there's been some late movement on the Packers. Maybe it's back up to 10 or 10.5. I think 10 is the right number. So under 10, I do like the Pack.
Okay. Very, very good. I like that. Bet them. They could be up 10, 13 at halftime, and then they could score another. I like that. That's actually a way to not worry about the 9.5. I like that a lot. All right. We've got 1 game left, gentlemen. 1 game. Some would say it's a rubber meets the road type of game. And I'm going to have all of you weigh in on this one because let's ride. Let's ride. The Broncos have not been a let's ride type of offense. We know that under Russell Wilson, and they're going to pay him another $250 million. They are stuck with this guy. So as they show, Mikey is on Denver plus 8.5, which is still alive, still good. And the LA Rams at plus 8.5. And then AB is on Derek Carr to throw at least 1 interception, the quarterback whisperer. And then Proppy and Sia. I'm coming to you. You're on the same player, but different plays. So Sia, no. Proppy, let's start with yours.
Yeah, we both like Jerry Jeudy over 3.5 receptions. Listen, Jerry Jeudy is the guy besides Cortland Sutton in this offense. We saw his route participation. It's a bit skewed because of his week 2 injury. In week 1, he ran a route on 91% of Russell's dropbacks, but it was just 75% last week. He's likely getting back to now a full-time role as he's 2 weeks removed from this injury. He hasn't had the target opportunity as Cortland Sutton, but he's been pretty good. He's trailing him in target rate 24 to 21%, but Judy's got a 1.7 yards per route run. That's fairly respectable. All other Broncos wide receivers are below 65% route participation this season. Sutton and Judy are the only pass catchers who are really getting a lot of playing time. We're getting a discount here on both his receptions and both his receiving yards. He's going to be in a full-time role in this offense today. He's going to run a route on pretty much every single Russell drop back, and it's a favorable matchup against this Las Vegas team. And I do think this has some sneaky shootout potential as well.
All right, so if we're going to have over 3.5 catches, that means we've got to have some yards with those catches, huh, Sia?
Yeah, and if we get that prop there from Prop Stars, we're going to get mine as well. We're going to get Jerry Jeudy over 44.5 receiving yards for a lot of the reasons that Prop Stars just mentioned. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a bad defense. Jerry Jeudy, the key word that Alex mentioned that we actually talked about on the prop show specifically, not just with this prop, but with some other props we picked, was discount. Like, it is really important to understand why this number is so low. First of all, game one, he had 4 catches for 102 yards. So we know what he can do with a small amount of catches. He had the AC joint sprain taken out of the game in week 2, and then in week 3, pretty ineffective overall. So we're getting a discount partially because of that injury. I honestly think if he was healthy for the first 3 games in this matchup, I think we'd be looking at like 56.5 receiving yards. Instead, we're getting 44.5. Another player that I think can get this in 1 or 2 catches potentially. But if he gets over the 3.5, he's getting this for sure. So I like Alex's play. I like this play. Jerry Jeudy over 44.5 receiving yards.
And Maestro, let me come to you, because if Alex is correct, and this is going to be a sneaky shootout, then it can be Jeudy and Cortland Sutton that could really have a breakout game today. And Sutton's a guy that we haven't even talked about for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but I agree with them on Jeudy. I mean, he was not on the injury report all week. So last week he barely practiced. He just got in a limited practice on Friday. This week he's not even on the injury report. I think he is going to have a very nice game. And as well as Sutton, I like the Broncos here. I mean, I know it's a desperation spot. It's all in for the Raiders, but the Broncos defense has been lights out. The offense has been moving the ball until they face the 49ers. But then what did Russell Wilson do? 3rd and 6 in the 4th quarter, scrambles for 12 yards, gets the first down, hits Sutton deep. They get the touchdown. This is a team that if Russell Wilson will scramble, will just use his legs just a little bit, that is going to unlock the offense. They've been moving the ball well. They have not scored in the red zone. I think the Raiders deserve to be 0-3. I had a stat in my pick that Josh McDaniels is now, I believe, 1-11 in his last 12 as a head coach, or 1-10. And, he blew that game against the Cardinals, and it's going to be hard for them to recover. I like the Broncos. If you can get a full field goal, absolutely love it.
I say it all the time that sometimes executives are not meant to be executives. And sometimes head coaches are not meant to be head coaches. Sometimes you can make a really good living being an offensive coordinator. This will be his last shot, I think. He was terrible in his first run in Denver, right?
Yeah.
And then now his second run has started out as a disaster in Las Vegas. All right. So we have reached the end of the games, but I want AB, throw that recap screen up there, please. And I would love very, very, very quickly go through your picks for today and maybe one line for each one. Maestro, go.
Looking at the board that I have there, I think my favorite play might be the Nick Chubb longest rush. I just think he's going to blow up today against the Falcons. But I think, the Browns are missing 3 of their starting 4 defensive linemen. That's what kept me off the game. I like the Browns, but I mean, when you don't have Garrett, you don't have Clowney, and you don't have the defensive tackle in the middle, I think both teams are going to have a lot of offensive success. You see the others. Penny to have a good day against the Lions. Eckler with the showdown and the declined showdown versus Proppy. And the Cowboys to show that they are legitimate with Cooper Rush.
Japo in the chat says, show the picks before kickoff. I will produce the show. Thank you very much. All right, now, Sia, talk to me.
Yeah, we have Rashad Penny over 60.5 rush yards. I think I actually put it out at 59.5. Either way, I think he's going to clear this number for the reasons that Larry and I both said. Pete Carroll's exciting when it comes to chewing gum only. When it comes to game plans, it's run the ball when you can run the ball. Detroit's injuries are really going to affect this. Tony Pollard, it's all about explosive plays here. He averaged over 8 yards per carry last week. I think he's going to get rushing and receiving over 60.5. Rashad Bateman, this could be one catch against a banged up Bills defense. Rashad Bateman over 47.5 receiving yards. And speaking of one catch, Jerry Jeudy over 44.5 receiving yards. I think he can do this in 2 to 3 catches, but it looks like he's going to get at least 4. And in that case, let's clear this 44.5 receiving yards number for Jerry Jeudy.
Love that a lot. Eric says, not enough time to line shop. Eric, we've been on for an hour. Stop complaining. Damn. Alex, talk to me.
It's officially over season at PropStars HQ, Coach. We like Mike Evans. I'll talk about this more tonight. Over 66.5 receiving yards. Saquon Barkley over 16.5 yards for his longest rush playing the Bears. He's going to get quite a few opportunities. He has been a big play waiting to happen every time he touches the football. Austin Eckler, anytime touchdown. I love this. This guy had 20 touchdowns last season, has 0 so far through 3 games, playing the Houston Texans, who can't stop anybody on the ground. Love Austin Eckler's chance to get in the end zone, not once, maybe even twice, potentially 3 times. Deontay Johnson over 5.5 receptions. This guy's been phenomenal this season. He has been a PPR monster target machine. Love his chances against a very, very bad Jets pass defense. Jerry Jeudy, aforementioned from Cousin Sia, over 3.5 receptions, getting a nice discount on that reception line right there. And last but not least, Kareem Hunt, over 42.5 rushing yards. Browns have been phenomenal running the ball. That's their identity. He's had a great season. He's eclipsed this in all 3 of his games so far, playing a very soft Falcons front.
All right, very, very good. That is what's called a rapid recap for you here on the Early Edge. Do not forget, we'll be back tonight at 7:30 p.m. at Eastern Time, counting down to what could be the best Sunday night game of the year. The Chiefs and the Bucs, basically a pick-em. We'll have best bets, props, the VJM, and a huge donkey parlay from my man, M Squared. So you guys know I like to end every show asking my cappers and my experts, what's the number one most important thing they're looking forward to today? See it. Start us off.
Yeah, so I say this every week, but there's a lot of teams where we think we know what they are, like the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the truth is we're really not sure because a trend really hasn't been established. So I'm curious to see these teams that seem to be up and coming, whether or not they're actually up and coming or whether or not they're just what we thought they were. So we'll find out real soon.
Jags, who are you? I don't want to hear about the rain. I don't want to hear about the travel. Are you a legitimate leading candidate to win your division? Show up today. Alex, talk to me.
Yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot about this Jaguars team on the road, hostile environment, weather potentially an issue against a great Philadelphia Eagles team that looks like arguably the best team in football through the first 3 weeks of the season. Can't wait to see this matchup, see what the Jags are made of. I personally think it's going to be competitive, and I say that as a huge Eagles fan. Go Birds.
Maestro, bring us home.
I want to see if Cooper Rush can get to 4-0 all-time as a starter, and I cannot wait to see Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and the rest of the Cowboys against that Washington O-line, which gave up 9 sacks last week. Probably some of that due to Carson Wentz holding onto the ball too long.
I'm telling you right now, if Jerry Jones, if the Cowboys look great today, and he puts Dak Prescott back in the starting lineup next week, he officially knows nothing about football. Nothing about football. I love this, and I love this slate. I love this game, and I love doing this show. So it's time to put the paper and the pencils down, and it's time to put the ears up and the eyes in focus. Let's do this together. And as you know, there's only one thing left to do, and I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Sunday NFL tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, love them all. See, Prop Stars, Maestro, oh, AB on the ones and the twos today. I am the coach. Tell your friends, it doesn't matter the day, the time, the sport, the show. We are here. We grind, and we grind for you at the Early Edge. Good luck.